Let's go.
All right.
Be it resolved, we start.
Be it resolved that we start the open session.
Okay.
Could I have a motion, please?
Yes. Seconded.
Seconder,
I think you got one.
Yep.
to the question?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. Okay. Approval of the minutes. Have a motion approval of the minutes?
Yep, so moved.
2.1
So moved.
of February 9th.
So moved. Moved.
Seconder, to the question?
Yes. Yeah. What do you say?
Okay.
Yeah. You only need one yay?
You don't have to say anything.
No.
This is what I've learned.
But
I
you're
was
listening,
educated.
you're listening.
Last time we were all going,
I was picking up on that.
The problem is
I'm getting at it.
that we've had a lot of nays. So
We have.
But the nays are gone.
Okay.
We don't say anything,
Next
say
year.
yes.
Okay,
The yay.
motion to
are-
adopt,
yes.
adoption of the agenda.
We
Disclosure of conflict of interest, declaration of members in conflict of interest with any item on the agenda, consent agenda, delegations, presentations, there are none, committee reports, no, consideration of issues separated from consent agenda, none, general correspondence, no.
Do we need a motion to adopt the agenda?
Yes.
I thought I said that.
Oh, I didn't, no.
I didn't.
we adopted the,
I have a motion to adopt the agenda,
We
please.
started the meeting, then we moved the meeting, or the minutes, and then we just have to do the agenda.
Okay, so moved.
Seconded.
Okay.
Yeah.
yes.
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 Okay. 9.1, internal monthly report.
Madam Chair, during the month of February 2016, we had 0 complaints against police, and we had 10 complimentary correspondence.
Very good.
Motion to
Receive and
receive.
file. Motion received and filed. So moved.
Seconded. Jennifer seconded.
Okay. 9.2, overtime, court time expense. Need a motion?
Well,
Or no, no,
You
motion.
gotta report maybe first.
yeah, Marvin will speak to that.
Just walk you through the January report.
Okay.
First of all, I want to let the board know this report is not as bad as it looks. I make that statement meaning that during the month of January, it looks like in total we're $84,000 over budget for overtime. But there was a number of overtime hours in late December, such as Christmas and New Year's, mainly that rolled over into January. We did some accruals at the end of the year that will make its way through the system, and we'll actually net this out over the next couple of months. So from an accounting perspective, without getting you confused with it, is there are adjustments that will flow through well in the month of March to adjust these numbers down. So that being said, the next report, the utilization will give you a better reflection of what happened in January when it comes to overtime. And that's why this report, and as Nicole is well aware, is confusing because there's a timing of when overtime hours are paid and when they are actually earned. So if I walk you through the January report, for instance, you'll see for patrol, it says we're $47,000 over budget.
Mhm.
You need to look at Christmas and New Year's where we incurred overtime for staffing that actually rolled over into January when we paid it. So when the accrual was done in December, properly recorded, it's going to work its way through the system as a reversal. So these numbers over the next 3 months will smooth out if I can use that terminology.
Right, and that's just a little bit of background, so that's why we've got 2 reports now. So, Mike, we only used to get this expense report, and so we asked last year for, which is item 9.3, the utilization, so that we can track the number of hours burned based on actual, rather than all of this expense. We had a really hard time understanding how to manage our overtime expenses, because they were all kind of accumulated from previous months, so that's why we moved to the utilization.
And just to pick up on that point is, again, for Mike's benefit, is the way the overtime works for police officers, Mike, is they can accumulate overtime up to 6 months, and anytime they has to have that paid out. So you can appreciate the fluctuation in our expense goes up and down depending on when they want to pay out. At the end of 6 months, any overtime that's 6 months or older, we automatically pay it out. So there's a timing difference of when it was actually earned and when it's paid. So this report, you know, reflects expense on a month-to-month basis. The second report really shows you what was utilized in the month when it comes to overtime with hours. And that's why we made this change. So,
So it's expended in those hours, right?
exactly, yes, yeah.
And it's basically a bank.
On the chair.
They can bank the
Up to
hours.
6 months.
And they can ask them to pay out anytime. So it does, I like to use the expression, the expense goes up and down the toilet seat sometimes, depending on which line these are put. So the utilization report is a better document to share with you on what we usually burn, what hours we burn
Yeah.
every month.
Yeah.
Okay, so unless there's any specific questions to this report, I would ask.
No,
that you
receive
receive
file.
file.
But just for the board's consumption, I mean, I think December, you have Christmas Eve, you have Christmas, New Year's. Combined with that, we had the death of an infant child on Christmas Day. We had a homicide on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. That,
Yeah.
you know, these things happen, and we always front load those kind of investigations and bring people in. So
Yeah.
Right, so the expense is higher even if the hours were, right? Because
Christmas
those are-
Day and New Year's is
Christmas,
double
yes.
time, right?
Okay,
So the motion to receive.
a motion to receive a file?
So moved.
Seconded?
Okay. Overtime and court time expense. Overtime hours utilization report.
right, and that's what Marvin just spoke to, so
He
let's
did.
Marvin carry on
Yep.
with that, Madam Chair, if that's okay.
The intent of this report is really to give the board an update monthly on what are the number of hours budgeted by division, and what can we actually, what overtime we incurred during that month to see what the variance is. As you see for the month of January, the total budget hours, this is based on the first class cost rate, over 8,000 hours that we have in our budget for overtime for all divisions. The January budget was 670. Our actual expense was 680 hours, and we were just over by 10. And I draw your attention to the second page. You heard me talk about total being 680, and 448 was related to patrol. Is in the month of January, we backfilled 30 shifts, meaning that we had shortages on the platoons that we had to backfill. There's 364 of those hours right there. So if you go back and look at the actual 448 for patrol, that pretty much speaks to where our overtime was allocated, was to backfill shifts. And it wasn't many hours that were actual operational overtime. Someone had said on the file. So that being said, to start the year, we're in excellent shape. I think the budget, we made some slight adjustments in the 2016 budget that will address some of these things that we incurred last year. So if all goes well with that, other than exceptions the chief has just talked about, unforeseen circumstances, is our budget is so far starting out well for us at the month of January.
Looks good.
Yeah, you're on your burn rate, you're on an even burn rate annually. 12 in patrol, 12 months in patrol worth, or 1 month in 1/12
Yeah.
of the hours.
And one of the things that we are able to accomplish in the first quarter of every year, and we've done a really good job this year, is because our resource numbers are so high, because no one's taking vacation or whatever, that's our time to do training. So we're getting a lot of training done in that first quarter that allows us to stay within our budget, because there's more people working, so we can pull on shift. So it's really a perfect situation for us to do training during the first quarter.
It's more controlled.
Exactly, yes.
Right.
And specifically to the training, so the training started January 18th,
Okay.
which was the rapid deployment training and combined with use of force training started in January 18th, is run through February and wrapped up in last week, right? So, so we're,
Ahead of the game.
well, it's what Marvin alluded to. We've scheduled this training when we really have the most people, and but it costs, and it means we do have to backfill shifts. So I think 30 backfilled shifts in the month of January is probably higher than we may have experienced in January of 2015, but there's a reason for it.
It's gonna cost us more if we backfill those shifts and do training another time.
Later on in the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that was part of one of the things we cited as efficiencies in the last meeting.
Yes.
So we're
Yep.
hoping this all pays off.
Excellent. That's
Good.
great news. Good job.
What percentage, the available overtime over total hours available is what rough percent? So if you took 8,000, put it over the total complement of
What percentage in total?
officer hours
Oh,
on a normal basis, without overtime, what would it be? Or is it in there and I just can't find it?
I'm not,
Each officer
Are
works
you getting
2080 a year, 2,080 hours a year? is that what
Yeah,
you're
that times how many officers?
saying?
yeah. Like, what's the percentage that we're
40,
budgeting for
40,
overtime? So you've got like X at like straight hours, and then if the 8,000,
Oh, I see. It's
what's the
total
percentage of,
FTEs.
yeah?
Yeah, I'm just looking for a rough.
I can bring that back the next week.
No, we can do the math right here.
There's so much time off calculated in that, and
Oh, yeah.
they owe eight, we take vacation, they owe 8 hours a week, so we take it off, and it's just, it goes on and on. There's a lot of different variables in the contract there.
So effective on the job time, yeah. That's what I'd be interested in.
You're suggesting that each will be different because some have 6 weeks vacation, some have 4, some have 2, is that what you're alluding to, overall? during
You're
the
looking
year?
at total
percent.
number of hours in a year. What does the 8,000 represent for percentage above the 100%?
Yeah, and what they're saying is, are you talking about effective time in the job, hours?
Right, okay.
Or are you talking about 2080?
Mm-hmm.
And it varies all over the map.
It does, yes.
But
28
is there a planning, there must be a planning number.
I'm not sure.
In terms of,
A number that you use for
well, we have
aggregate planning.
minimum manning, right? So
Yeah.
each day is 10 and then 12, so if you go below that, you have to hire. So sometimes you can't plan that somebody got hurt, somebody's on off, 2 people are sick. For instance, some of these days that we did training, we planned ahead and put everybody in blocks of training. But there's 19 members on a patrol shift, and you need 12 for Thursday,
Yeah.
Oh,
Friday night. And the next thing you know, that there's 7 can be off automatically for the contract, so now you're down to minimum man. So you may have to hire 4 or 5 a night just to bring it up to. But I guess the important thing is you gotta remember, we trained 120 people, weeks-long training.
I'm just trying to put it overtime in context of the whole.
It's like about 3%.
Yeah, that's what I'm
That's what
looking
you're looking
for.
for.
Around
Percentage.
It's around 3%, I think. Maybe that's, maybe 2.9 or something, but it's about 3%. But I think, don't we largely base that on past? I mean, we go by our past experiences, right? And keeping in mind, our past experiences don't necessarily reflect today's reality, because our numbers of full-time employees keeps dropping, or it has been dropping anyway,
Yes.
over the,
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a significance number out of it.
Did someone throw a number, who threw the number?
He threw 3% and it's 3, I just.
It's 2.7. 2.7. This is
Always impressive.
Pardon me? Using less than 75% utilization.
I'm not sure.
Mathematical geniuses here.
I have 2 over.
We all have our little
I have a
gifts.
magnitude that that was just.
Yeah, that would be about 2.7% of our total man hours.
Right.
we use.
Yeah, I was just trying to get a significance.
Okay. Yeah, it's
whole
not
number.
a
We're
big-
talking about a number, right? And how significant that is to the organization.
Yep.
But as we discussed last time, I think as far as public service numbers go, one of the things that I'd like to point to is that our sick, organizationally, our sick time usage is below average. So it's not something that's being driven by sick time. It's, we're not, sick time is not driving our overtime numbers. It's
Minimum complement.
It's, minimum staffing numbers, it's calls for service, it's unexpected
Yeah.
major occurrences that come up. There's a whole plethora of things that impact that.
Yeah, if we were a manufacturing environment, we have a much better way to predict those things.
Yeah,
For
so
the most part.
we got a percentage
Exactly.
Okay.
So easy.
of.
9.4,
Did we receive and file the utilization report? Or are we on that now?
I don't think we have received and filed the utilization report. We're done with my questioning.
I'll make a motion to,
Okay, and I'll second that motion.
to the question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 9.4, ratification of special meeting resolution February 24th, 2016, 2015 to 2021. Collective agreement, QB, local 486. A motion? Seconder?
What was the motion?
Question?
The motion is to ratify it.
Ratify.
Who made the
I made the motion.
Brian.
I'll second.
And I'll,
Second? Question?
Yeah.
Madam Chair, you can certainly update the board on what has transpired today, which is a good day for us for this.
We this afternoon, at 3:45, met with the executive of 486 and signed a lot of papers, I'll tell you that, for their, to ratify their contract.
Good.
And it's a great contract. I think you probably, maybe last month, got a copy of it.
Mike was on the phone, I think. so
It was a
we went
special,
through it. Yeah.
special meeting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And so that's good. So we're very happy today to be there. And they were happy to see us and that everything went well. And we had our picture taken as sort of a family group, so that's good. Yeah. So everything.
Previous council, we signed the same document around 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Yes.
Oh, good, so it was all kind of,
Okay. So that's great.
I say council, mayor, and the common clerk.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's good. So it was a good day today for
Congratulations.
for
yes, yes, it actually
for
is.
negotiations.
That's right.
Now the next one. 9.5, St. John Police Force presentation at the workshop.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and with your permission, I'm going to turn this over to Brian Malone, and he can fill you in on what that presentation was, and where it was, and I'll just preface the conversation by saying that we were asked if we would lend Brian and Gary McFadden to the Canadian Association of Police to present at a conference in Vancouver, and I was very proud to give those members permission to attend out there. And I think they did us proud, and I'll let Brian tell you why.
You're getting a lot of pressure here to go and spend a job to discussing this.
No.
I think the precedent. I think it's important to note that Gary and I were actually invited to present at the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police Information and Communications Technology Workshop. This is a biannual, second year workshops they hold. It's where police agencies go to find out what they can be doing better. And from some previous exposure that we had, they asked us, how does we keep on coming up with the solutions that we have? And we're doing things that they would expect from Sergeant, but I have to say, what's considered a small police agency by national standards. So they invited us to present there. It wasn't us begging to be there. We really appreciate it going. So in an overall sense, so I say the presentation was well received, but it also helped shape national dialogue around law enforcement use of information communication technologies. They're actually listening to what we're saying, coming to us after and saying, help us understand this, we want to go and change what we're talking about nationally, which is a big, big deal. I'm not going to go through all the presentation itself, but it was designed to go and be as entertaining as it was informative, and we got very positive feedback on it. The substance of it was particularly useful to all the participants there. So we didn't do anything to embarrass the St. John Police Force in spite of the slides that we used there. I put it this way, it was a breakout session, and we filled the room, turned our room full.
That's great.
Very proud of you. Thank you very
Good
much,
job.
Brian.
Thank you.
Very proud of you, and having St. John be taking the lead, actually, in all of this, and putting us on the map. Go ahead.
Should do though, I guess, as I mentioned to the chief, and I think he wants me to go and express this, that if you look to the presentation, what you'll see sprinkled through it are the type of things that the past number of years the sport has been saying we want the police service to go and pay attention to things like this. I'm just going to go through a quick list about responsiveness and adaptation. That's a big centerpiece of all this. About efficiencies, we talk about largely through integration, how we go and reduce the number of times data has to be entered, for example. Effectiveness, we look at performance measures like crime reduction, and we don't make a big deal about how important that is. All of this is evidence-based, so it's making better use of the knowledge and information we have. Our intelligence-led policing program, for example, was one of the things we pointed out. Value that we try to go and get from things, and the line I use there is that's our ROI, instead of return on investment, it's return on information. It's information technology conference after all. But that's a focus that a lot of police agencies don't get their head around. In Canada, police are required to go and collect an enormous amount of information. We don't have an option. It's going to be done for the criminal justice processes. If we collected it, we should be getting the best use, the best value we can out of it, looking for ways to go and reduce crime in addition to prosecuting people, for example. That was part of our presentation talking about that. It's exactly the type of thing the board's been telling us, to make sure that we're getting most effectiveness, most value out of it we can. Bunches of stuff about innovation in there, and that's really talking around the vision type stuff that we've done with this board over a consistent period. My bias that I bring into is the systems view, but I think that's really important because instead of saying here's a specific thing we were going to do in 6 years and it's going to be accomplished at this level, it's what are we trying to accomplish by changing the system. That is doable in a strategic plan. The precise target of changing it to a number is pretty artificial. If you do it, it's because you've artificially accomplished it that way. And a bunch of stuff on partnerships, both in this province and the board leaders on that, and as it turns out, as we see from this conference, that we're joining other partners nationally as well to go and make things happen. Specifically, some great experience with the RCDP and some products they have where they've actually just, well, they've become big brothers to us in some ways, and we're using their tools. Saving us a great deal of expense, but also better partnerships with them in terms of joint investigations, for example. So all those things are things that, in one sense or the other, over the last number of years, this board's talked about, and we're going to have to kind of work through that presentation to see where it's expressed, because this was a presentation for people that aren't on the board. I think it's important for the board to recognize that we understand those things are important, and it's a bit of storytelling, but we've been in that storytelling and showed up.
Great.
Thank you very much.
And if I may, just one tangent on sort of what Brian has spoken about, and collecting data and doing research. There's not a great amount of research in Canadian policing. I mean, there's just not a lot of it out there. But what there is, it's extremely complex. That's what the researchers tell you. It's hard to actually do a lot of research in policing, and when you do it, it's very complex because the measurements that we try to measure in policing, sometimes it's hard to wrap your head around. And are you actually measuring hard quantitative data, or is it qualitative data? And so it makes it a complex process. The other thing I will mention is I was in Montreal last week and I got at a conference, and one of the speakers, actually the first speaker, the keynote speaker for the whole conference, talked about her experience as a chief constable in Great Britain. She leads the Met right now, and what she talked about was what we term as intelligence-led policing, which is our model here in St. John. They've got hot spotting and they do a lot of research there, but it was very gratifying to be sitting in that audience listening to intelligence-led policing being touted as the model to be followed in policing, and knowing that we're sitting here in St. John. And I take no credit for it because it had all been done by all the folks in this room long before I got here, but that is the model that we adhere to in St. John. And so it was very gratifying to be the chief here to listen to that. So anyway, I think we've beaten that one to death. So.
Great to hear.
Great, that's, congratulations, that's good. Okay, where were we? Okay, 9.6, St. John Police Force Multiculturalism Initiatives and Associated Training.
So I decided after there was a media report in the newspaper questioning what we're doing with regard to multicultural training and our collaborating with our partners, and specifically with regard to the newcomers from Syria, and questioning whether or not we're doing enough as a police organization. So I just put together the report for your consumption, just to let you know that we are not asleep at the switch here, and we are alive to what's going on in the community, and we have taken great strides in not only training our people in-house with regard to multicultural issues, but I mean, let it be said that we're, St. John proper is still by and large a largely Anglo-Saxon society, but we have newcomers to Canada from all over the world. UNB is a perfect example. A lot of students from the Far East are here, and we've done work with them and like organizations collaboratively to have our people engaged and provide the best service that we can. So the report, no sense going through all the bullet points in it, but other than to say that I will say continuously that we're well positioned to respond to the policing needs of newcomers to the greater St. John area. And even more important has been the continual growth of our strong relationships with other service providers and partnering to make our newcomers welcome and transition to St. John, New Brunswick and Canada as positive an experience as possible.
That's good.
That's it.
It was a good report, yeah. To see how much is being done, actually. Yeah. Excellent, excellent.
I'm going to move to receive and file.
You and file?
I'll second.
Good. Yeah. You're going to be my yay person.
You're gonna lose your
Can we just
name.
go backwards and I'll move to receive and file Brian's presentation?
Yes.
And I'll second.
Okay. Okay, so I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll do some motion.
Okay,
I'll second his motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Good meeting.
My name's Rebecca. I work for the Telegraph Journal. I've never been to a police commission meeting before, so I just wanted to say hi. But also, I guess I missed some things just because I thought that you guys started at 6:30, but headed the game today. I just had a couple questions, I guess, for the chief and Marvin. Marvin. If you guys could stay, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
One more time.